So we're going to unpack South Node in Libra more this week because we do have Venus coming into Libra. And I know everyone wants to celebrate that. Venus comes to one of its home signs, Libra, where typically you would be like, oh, cool. The equality, the balance beams of Venus and Libra. Yeah, bullshit. It's got the South Node there. You know what it's really going to do, especially with all the Scorpio energy, the revolutionary energy of Taurus, Venus's other home sign, and Saturn in Pisces too, is going to be teaching us to not pathologize our relationships and blame and shame the things going on, but to dig up like where are the deeper imbalances. You cannot get away from it this week. This is going to be way more about going into the depths, into the trenches of it, but there's a flow to it. There is a flow of going into it where we don't need to use a overly bravado masculine energy. This is a little bit more about realizing that anything that you're experiencing in your relationship is sort of like the waves of other boats in the lake bumping up against your boat. Some people are going a little too fast and chaotic and partying too hard and a little on the extreme side, and it rocks the boat a little bit more, and you feel it on an individual level, on a personal level, right? It's a collective thing that's happening. We are one, so you're going to feel it in your personal life, in your personal relationships. And then, there's going to be other times where it's just like you get used to it. It's the gentle waves that bump up against it. And sometimes it feels good. It feels good being out on the lake. And so there can be a little bit of a seesaw, but just notice when the balance beams tip a little bit too far in one direction. And maybe we're getting a little bit too extreme with our thinking, or we're wanting to expand into these grandiose areas before our soul has caught up, before the mission orientation that I promise you is going to be the thing that really cements and changes the reflection, the progression of the relationship, as opposed to trying to do some like old school 80s 90s high school vibes of your relationship. And it's like you can't go back to that. That's not what we want to use Venus, the South Node, for. It's not about going into a past configuration of how you lived your relationships to keep pseudo harmony. The real healing, the real balance, the real using conscious partnership to heal, to talk about things, to reflect on things in a way that is more deeper, more impactful, more meaningful, is going to be going into those spaces when stuff comes up. And so we can lean into it, we can flow, we can feel with it. And actually, if you really want to get a handle on the actual, augmentation version of like, what's the practical approach? What do you do in your relationship, especially if it's feeling a little lost at sea, or the reality seems imperfect, or things are going on? You can definitely click that link below and get that file from me for how to basically have conscious communication in your partnerships, especially for conflict resolution. This approach is actually going to be the thing that helps cement the legacy of where you're taking your relationship. I don't think it's a justice to the collective. I don't think it's a justice to ourselves, our families, if we're still messing around with bullshit conflict in our relationships. We have to be willing to, definitely, as I outlined, really commit to a purpose, really commit to a path of unconditional love. When you go in that direction, I promise you that at least you're going to get down to the bottom of the truth. Can you find true harmony and equality in your relationship instead of just like hoping for it or trying to get too much outside support? This is way more about, I hate to use the word isolation, but making sure that you're not getting too many opinions and too much negativity projected into the consciousness of your relationship, and that it takes two to tango. It takes two committed individuals to come into a space, of that. So if you're a single person, you can apply all these same philosophies, these same concepts to, your personal reflection in the mirror, the relationship with yourself, right? So even during the times when you're not with your partner and stuff comes up, we certainly, cannot ask them to hold the weight of everything going on with us subconsciously, the healing that's coming up, the directions to take things. we allow ourselves to receive, the vision and to take the steps forward with whatever your reality is and how the partnership fits into that. And so you apply that to this personal reflection, looking at the man, the woman in the mirror, right? This can, in a minor level, be applied to relationships, with things like children and, really all relationships. But I think the depth of where to apply this at is going to be like, what's the thing that's really going to move the needle forward? Typically, it's going to be, of course, the relationship with yourself and the relationship that you're in romantically, whether it's a marriage or just, a partnership that you've been in or even a new one. And to see that, like, those are the things that are going to get us more over the hump, get us out of any Humpty Dumpty energy about, being on the wall too much. It's like, no, get off the wall, because, you don't want to have to fall either way. It's more about finding a way to playfully, be on that seesaw in reality and see that there are changes coming in the collective. And so we're just augmenting the reality. We're changing our minds, we're changing our consciousness to I would almost, in a weird way, call it retrofit our thinking, our consciousness to more archetypal times of, like, when humans, when ancient civilizations were connected more to a sense of their power, a deeper connection to divination. We're definitely flushing down the toilet, the matrix-like, ways of thinking and the relying on the exterior of reality only to make us feel better or change. And so to actually get back to, if you're feeling upset, if you're feeling unrooted, if you're feeling like there's just conflict and arguments and disagreements and things like that, the release, the unclogging the plumbing within so that you can actually feel more rooted, feel better about life, feel more happiness, feel more joy, feel more love, is definitely going to be going within in this process. So take that outline that I have designed for you all below and apply it to yourselves, apply it to your relationships. You can't go wrong with it, because with the intention that follows in this, reality is certainly going to throw the pitches, so you just have to swing at the ones that are actually for you, that are in the strike zone, and don't swing at curveballs in the dirt. And then if the pitcher hangs a curveball, that curveballs sometimes come because you're getting used to it, and then you knock it out of the park. Love you all. Take care.